Hey guys, Tom and Tiny Mike here. I just wanted to give my thoughts on Tesla's AI Day, which happened last night. The event was basically going over the progress that Tesla has made in the autonomous driving field, where they have created these neural nets and trained them to basically learn how to drive a car only using vision, basically the way a human would. And it was pretty awesome. And then they went over the hardware that they've developed to further train this neural net a million times faster than they are now. And then they also talked about the future plans they have for how to implement what they've learned from these neural nets in other things like robots. Now, the humanoid robot thing, I think we can just kind of like brush that off. That's the kind of thing where they're just that's the kind of thing where I think they're just doing it because they're like, hey, we have all this real world AI data. We can implement it in other things besides cars. Why not a robot? Let's figure it out. Let's try and make it happen. And if it happens, that's great. And if not, who cares? Like, at least we tried to do a robot. And I'm sure they'll learn a bunch along the way. And if you're into like robotics and stuff, I'm sure it would be a really cool project to work on. Now, in terms of Tesla's AI for their neural nets and their self-driving, I thought it was pretty cool that they realized they had to change the game plan after they released Smart Summon, which is basically you're standing in a parking lot and you push a button and the car comes and finds you. It literally had to do just that. It had to come and find you without smashing into stuff. So they were basically using the cameras as sensors to not hit stuff, but then they realized, hey, we need to put this information together and make this sort of a predetermined route for the car to take, and we can learn stuff along the way. And I think it was an incredible story of how they went from using cameras just as sensors to then training these neural nets to recognize things and label things in the net so that you can say, hey, that's a tree, let's not hit that tree. Oh, this is a tree in this one spot where all these cars have driven past, let's avoid this tree. And it's also the sort of thing where it's not just avoiding stuff in the road, it's saying, hey, there's all this stuff going on, let's analyze all of this and predict what's going to happen, and then we can plan a route accordingly. And it was cool. They showed some visualizations of the real-time like figuring out of certain routes or how to make a turn. It's doing like thousands and thousands of different like possible routes in like milliseconds. So it's like going through all the best possible scenarios of every situation, like thousands and thousands of times a second. It's incredible. It's like really, really, really advanced. And I don't think anyone else can like hold a candle to how proficient and advanced they've come in the past 4 years. Now, this is just the past 4 years, and they decided to redo this whole labeling thing just over the past, I think, single year. So who knows what the possibilities are for the future? And the future, does that mean like humanoid robots? I don't know. But does it mean that we're going to have self-driving cars tomorrow? I don't think so. But I think by the time the US regulates self-driving cars to be fully autonomous and on the roads, I think Tesla is going to have it figured out like so freaking good that no one else is going to be able to compete with them, to the point where other auto manufacturers are going to have to be like, hey, Tesla, I'll buy your stuff, we'll put it in our cars, and, people can buy the software through you or something like that. So I think that's really exciting. I think that, shows that the future of AI with Tesla is like light years beyond what I think, we all thought it was, where they just had like cars driving themselves. And I think people have to take it a bit more seriously, just how invested they are in this and how far along they've come in the short amount of time that they've been doing it. And I think, we're going to see some crazy stuff. So now to train these neural nets a bit better and, teach them how to label stuff and figure out real world situations even more, Tesla has designed their own supercomputer, and this is called Project Dojo. And it started with they designed their own ASIC, their own application-specific chips. And then not only that, but they put them in their own application-specific environment or like system ecosystem where they have a bunch of these chips with stuff literally soldered onto the chip, which is insane. I can't even comprehend how they figured that out. So I think that's going to do it. That's my quick take. You heard it first.